your face is naked now.
I know. I woke up this morning, it was gone. I don't know what happened.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
huh.
No, I'm just kidding. I shaved. I got tired of looking like a homeless guy. I'm like the friendly homeless guy that you want to give a sandwich to. I definitely look like the one that looks like he's gonna rob you. Didn't like that. So plus probably anyone who watched our podcast are like, this guy's definitely at least 48, maybe 56. And I'm like, I'm 24.
Yeah.
So yes. It comes back to the main topic, though, now that my face is beautifully naked. Let's talk about why video games have ruined us and made us deviant and make us want to go kill people, apparently. No. So what did video games do for you psychologically growing up? I'm curious. What was first off, what game do you think impacted you the most psychologically? That's a good one. I'm curious to see what video game you think impacted you the most psychologically.
Oh boy. I mean, I guess. Oh my gosh! Like I'm ready to say one, and then all of a sudden I'm like, no, not that one, and then I don't know. I mean,
if it helps
I guess.
you.
What's that? Yeah. So I guess for me it would be like the Spyro series.
Okay, so you're coming back to Spyro like we talked about before. So how did Spyro psychologically imprint on you? What was it like? Did you have nightmares about purple dragons, or did it teach you things in life? What was the overall imprint it left in your mind? Like, what did it do for you? Was it like a getaway place? Was it like your escape as a kid?
Yeah, it was. I wouldn't say there was any really negative effects with it, like how you said before. It's like, oh, video games are apparently causing people to go out and kill people, like the stigma behind that. But no, I had a very different, I guess, psychological imprint as far as it. I guess kind of going back to, I guess, the video game I always looked forward to playing, the one that I was like, no matter how many times I played through it, like you said, it was my getaway place. It was something that no matter what was going on, even though like you're 5, 6 years old or whatever, it's like, oh, today was such a bad day. At school we were coloring and I didn't get to use the crayon I wanted, so my day was just ruined. So
Michael ate it again.
Yeah, Mike ate my crayon again.
3 times.
But no, it was just for me. Thinking back, is
the best. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Continue.
but no. I guess like Spyro and like even like Crash Bandicoot. You ever play the game Rayman? Ever hear of it?
Rayman. Is it Rayman Legends? Is that it? Is that like a thing?
I think that's a newer one. I think that's one of the newer ones. I think there's like Rayman like 1, 2, 3, whatever, however many there were. Like really those arcade style games were kind of, I guess, that psychological connection that I made with the video game world. And being at the young age I was, the arcade games were really the only ones that my parents really allowed me to play. Obviously, I couldn't be like, Mom, I want Grand Theft Auto. Like, that wasn't a conversation that I ever had where I'm like, that I even really wanted to play. Like, I'm sure I knew it existed back then, and I'm sure I saw videos on it and whatever, but I wasn't one of those kids where I guess nowadays there's kids that like, I'm sure there's kids that are 10 years of age or less that play that game, but they aren't able to enjoy it. I feel like a lot of times those games where they're like E for everyone, T for teen, M for mature. Yeah, of course there's things like profanity, language, nudity, drug references, sexual references. Yeah, those are all good reasons to limit who can play that game. But also at the same time, I feel like there's age restrictions on those games because you have to be a certain age to enjoy them, to understand them, comprehend them. Because you think about a 10-year-old kid playing Grand Theft Auto, you know what they like to do probably? Drive around and run over people on the sidewalk. That's all they do.
Then here's my challenging question to that, though, because I love this subject. I love this topic. Think about it like this. Let's jump to a whole different category. Now imagine these kids. You're in an R-rated movie with your buddies, right? You're in an R-rated movie. You expect to have a great time. All of a sudden you just hear like this 4-year-old. Maybe not 4-year-old. I feel like you're a little older at that point when you start crying. But you know what I'm getting at. I'm not saying adults can't be annoying. I've experienced that in a movie theater too. And just like with gaming, I get annoyed with adults sometimes just as much as I do with the little kids I hear on games. I personally, I'm adamantly, and I sound like a hypocrite because I played some of these games. I played games where, I definitely played some T for Teen when I was definitely not a teenager yet. And I definitely played some M for Mature, and I'm still working on my maturity, I'll tell you that. But but I always find it weird when we're in a game, like when we're playing Rocket League. You and me playing Rocket League makes sense. If I see a kid, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. What doesn't make sense, how good they are, but makes sense. When I'm playing something like COD and I literally just got done blowing some dude's head off, or worse yet, Gears of War, where I'm literally chainsawing somebody in half, and all of a sudden I hear some little kid like, "Oh, I fucked your mom last night." First off, that psychologically messes with me, and also pardon the language, but it psychologically messes with me because it's like, who is letting their kid sit there not only play such a graphic game, but talk like that too? And I don't know. I'm not going to challenge anyone's parental skills. That's what this podcast is about. You can be as good or as bad a parent as you want to be or as you think. But I almost wonder what the psychological implications are there, because we have seen these people. I feel like almost at one point we've all kind of been that kid, but we also don't really know what we're doing in those moments. Because I remember one distinct moment as a kid. I joined a party chat. One of I think it was my uncle, was playing Call of Duty, and he's like, "Hey, get on there and say this to them." And I was like, "Oh, why?" And I'm a little kid. I don't know. I still don't remember what I said. I just remember it was explicit and it was vulgar, and it got a really fun response. But but I didn't know what I was saying. So then it's like, does it really impact them that bad? And so that's where I challenge my own idea there. But I also just don't like to see it because I expect to be playing with an older community. But then, like you mentioned with GTA, you have still getting comfortable. You still have a whole community of children that are just running around. But I guess it's like I would love to get into the studies of that eventually, and maybe that's something we can do more detailed way later on, where we actually break down the facts. But this episode's more about what it meant to us, and I love that you go to Spyro right away. I love that. Fantastic game. I've actually thought about replaying it now with how much you've been talking about it. I've been debating on jumping back into those kind of games. Like I Crash Bandicoot, and I definitely beat that again. Like the new Crash Bandicoot about 2 years ago. I think that's when it came out. Was it 2, 3, maybe 4?
Yeah, a couple years ago. I know it's still expensive because every time I go to GameStop and I'm like waiting for the price to go down because I couldn't justify buying a game that really has no replayability for $60. I think it's still 40, 30, maybe 30, down to 30 now, but still, it's like, I don't know.
Which just talks volumes to the level of like how fun that game is, how much people love that game. If they think they can hold that price tag there and they're still not dropping it, clearly there's people out there still willing to buy this at that price.
For sure.
When I think back, man, that's a really hard one, because when I think back to gaming, this is going to be an interesting one because you're going in with the innocent, like, escape. I was going to come out with something that's a banger, Dead to Rights. So I don't know if you ever played Dead to Rights. So
I have not.
I played it around my teenage. You haven't? So Dead to Rights was a game that was on PS2. It was a really fun game. You played this detective cop. He was a canine unit cop. And I'm going off my memories, but there are some very intense scenes in this, very graphic violence, but it was a very fun game to play. Now, if I want to predate that, going back to even when I was younger, if I was going to go back and dip into under 10, I would have to probably say that one game that just, that's a rough one for Pokemon. It's got to be Pokemon. Pokemon has been a staple of my life, and in terms of gaming, I remember even playing on the GameCube, because I didn't have a GameCube. One of my family members did, and they had that Pokemon picture capture game. I loved that game. I loved playing all the original Pokemons on my old Game Boy. Literally, just waiting to hopefully get the next generation of system that came out to transfer all my Pokemon to that. And I was a hardcore Pokemon nerd. And yeah, so I definitely have to say that, because it was just cool. It's just fantastical world. There's not really any adults, which I love that concept, because it's just it's a world made for kids, surrounded and there's like only few adults. It's just a bunch of kids out having fun, and then you get the weird occasional I will fight your Pokemon for money, and the dude looks like he's 24, like the little NPC character. It's like, dude, you're fighting an 8-year-old. But I don't know, the whole Pokemon world cracks me up. But psychologically, it left a really good impression on me. One, it taught me about income. It taught me how to conserve my finances to buy certain things I wanted at the market. Like, there's some good things that I actually developed out of that I didn't even think about. Like, there's a lot of underlying impressions there. And then it was just a very fun, like, yeah, there's like little, I'm sure if you reflect back on it, there's a lot of adult humor in it, or adult context. Like, I think it was even some of the Pokédex entries were like just wild shit. It was just insane. Like, things that a kid's brain wouldn't understand, but it'd be like, holy shit, these Pokemon are metal as fuck. Like, this one literally kills other children or something. I don't know, just something wild. And it was just like, wow, that's a really dark Pokédex entry. But yeah, no, I'd have to say that was like one that had left the longest psychological impression, especially for handhelds. I could always touch on the classics. I mean, I already just did. We already just both touched on classics, but the others like Zelda and Mario, they leave such an impactful, nostalgic feeling when you come back to them. I was at a barcade the other day with my buddy, and we were playing Pac-Man. It was a versus Pac-Man. We were versing each other, dude. And it was so fun. It was just a very fun experience because not only did they add in that competitiveness to it, because I'm playing with a friend, but you could just see the nostalgia on his face. You could see it on mine. I promise it wasn't the alcohol yet, but you could see the fun there. And games that have that replayability, the games that take you back to your childhood like that, I wonder for this next coming generation, what is the games that are leaving psychological imprints on kids these days? Is it still like, are there parents out there still bringing these old games into their households? Or what games are these kids, like, what are the ones that are going to leave their mark? You know? What is the overall message of these games these days?
Yeah, I mean, I guess looking at like the last really 2-3 years of the gaming world, and the big focus of it has been battle royales, whether it's PUBG, Fortnite, now getting into Warzone. Even before that, I know before like PUBG and Fortnite kind of made their I guess their presence known, there was still a couple before that were even around that they were just kind of there. Nobody really played them. So I mean, I feel like that's going to be kind of you talk to kids who were in that 5 to 10, maybe 15 age range. You talk to them in 10, 15 years when they're in their mid-20s to our age, and what they're going to reflect back on. Of course, I can't speak for them, and I could be completely wrong, but you think about what's popular at the time. And when we were young, it was the Mario, the Zelda, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot. And those are the ones that we're reflecting on and reminiscing on those memories now. So yeah, I don't know, that's a good question. And I guess that's something that I guess maybe 10 years down the road, if we're still here talking to each other on a weekly basis on a podcast, hopefully that'll be a topic we come to at that point.
We'll just bring one of them on. It's like we'll be in our 30s to 40s one day, and we'll just bring in one of these young, like, impressioned minds of these 18-year-olds and be like, "So, what are you playing? Or what did you play as a kid?" And they're gonna just say something weird as hell. Just be like, okay, what is that? Like,
yeah.
And I can't wait to see how the gaming industry evolves. This is one concept I always kind of come back to. I love to think about the future of gaming. I know there's a lot of people who probably are like, oh, it's not really going anywhere right now, because you see a lot of regurgitation. You see a lot of, like, for example, battle royales. Look what happened. You get one successful battle royale. Now everybody has a battle royale. Games you don't think would have a battle royale have a battle royale. Who knows? We're going to see Spyro Battle Royale.
Yeah.
It's just like, obviously they wouldn't do that to their industry. They would never tarnish their name with Spyro like that. But that's how crazy the Battle Royale theme got for a while. And the funny thing is, Battle Royales have been around before Fortnite, before PUBG. Like, I'm fairly certain, actually, I think PUBG might have been the first Battle Royale that was mainstreamed, commercial-wise. But I'm pretty sure this is an idea that has been around longer than that, but it was the first commercial success was PUBG, and that's when Fortnite came about. And because Fortnite originally didn't have a battle royale.
No, they were save the world. That was their main focus.
That was their main focus, and they were like, wow, this sucks. We are not pulling in numbers, and they came with battle royale concept, and they just pulled that, and they were literally everywhere. You see kids in the streets, Fortnite dancing. It's like, first off, someone please clip them. No, I'm just kidding. don't hit children with their cars, okay? Just because they're Fortnite dancing. But yeah, so you see that. You see it get into movies, that like these dances and stuff like that. It just became like a household name. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. Now it's so hard to get away from battle royales. Right now, obviously, you and me, we mess around on Warzone, which I'm sure that has a very divided fan base right now because of everything that's going on between hackers, glitches, stuff like that. I still stand by it for the most part. I still stand by it. I have my upset feelings every once in a while because I'd be like, oh, yeah, that dude just shot me through 3 walls of mountain and he's upside down. But that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and he was using a pistol with no ammo. I don't know how he did that. Or, yeah, this dude just killed me with his shoe from a mile away. But that's fine. It's these concepts that are frustrating, but overall, it still has playability. It still has entertainment value to it for the most part. Because COD is always kind of going to be there. COD's not going away. I don't think COD's going away anytime soon. They survived their stupid futuristic crap they tried to pull.
Twice.
They can survive that. Yeah, twice. They survived it twice. If they can survive that, they can survive anything.
Yeah.
So
that reminds me, actually, you're just talking about like hacks and stuff on COD. There's 2 that have recently come up with the new update because there's a new season that dropped today. I don't know if one of them was pre-season 6 or if whatever, but anyway, one of them is a guy like glitched and found a way that when he got sent to the gulag, he killed the guy that like his one-on-one, and then he stayed in the gulag. So what was happening was people were around the map were just dying out of nowhere, and when they watched the kill cam, he was like shooting at a wall in the gulag and killing them wherever. Like, and that makes you wonder too. It's like, yeah, when you die, you go to the gulag, but where is the gulag? Is it like, do you actually get sent to the prison that's on the map, that you're in proximity enough that if you find a way to hack, you can shoot through a wall and get someone? So that was kind of interesting. And the other one is how the heartbeat sensor is broken. There's some people who literally by taking out their heartbeat sensor, they would die. So originally they were thinking like, oh, I just got sniped or somebody shot me. But then there's this guy that like did a video and he was testing it. He literally got rezzed. He was in by one of the bunkers. He went inside of the bunker, pulled it out, and he got downed. So literally just by pulling out your heartbeat sensor, you were getting knocked.
This is a callback to one of our games that we were playing because I pulled on my heartbeat sensor, and now that he did this test, I'm wondering because I thought I got shot because we got pushed by a team, but I pulled out my heartbeat, my game lagged, and next thing you know, I was down. I thought I was just the first one who got pushed, but maybe it was just that glitch. Meanwhile, we just got ripped apart at the same time. Either way, we would have all probably died.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes me wonder too. A lot of times, like you said, is those moments when you get killed and it's like you kind of hesitate, but also you were like in a firefight, so you're like, oh, it's probably just one of them. But then you're like you just said, like right now, like looking at some of these hacks, it's like what if it was somebody 2,000 meters across the map that just caught you at the right time?
Well, for all the amount of kill cams I've honestly skipped, I don't like. I know you watch yours a lot more than I do typically because you just like to see what happened. Me, I'm too angry. I see red right away. I'm like, nope, I don't care. It was bullcrap. Even if he's way better and he just came up behind me and shot me in the head, bullcrap. I'm one of those players. Fans can hate me for it. That's fine. But I think I'm going to start watching kill cams more just to see what exactly is going on with that. But anyways, one thing I was actually really, really curious about, because I'm sure you know more about this than I do. What has been going on with the newest Call of Duty? Because I haven't played it. I haven't seen any videos on it. Do you know anything about it at all? Or
So, I mean, as most people know, it's Call of Duty Cold War, which it kind of threw me for a loop when they first released that, and there's like teasers for it before they like officially released the game. It's like, oh, that's fan made. There's no reason that they'd make a Cold War game. How would you make a Cold War game? Because it was literally, even though it has the name war in it, it wasn't like a war you think of now, like like the Gulf War or Vietnam War, just like all these wars where they're actual fatal like
Yeah,
mass
well,
scale fatalities. And it's like, how does a game make a game out of something like that?
so one concept. Sorry, not to interrupt. I
No, you're
apologize.
good.
One concept that happened during the Cold War was proxy wars. So that's the only way the U.S. was really involved was proxy wars. That's kind of like this, so there was the secret wars that happened in Laos. That was the way fighting was happening. But no, there was not really too many boots on the ground. There was no, because that was against our best interest. Because obviously, with the Cold War, we're essentially trying to avoid nuclear holocaust at that point. So we can't just outright call a war. But yeah, no, there was wars by proxy, which just means that they were funded by the U.S. and the Soviet Union, but we weren't directly engaging each other. But I don't even think that's what Cold War is about. I have no knowledge of what the game is, so I won't sit there and pretend to know. But that, from the one brief trailer I saw, it seems like it's not about proxy wars. I could be wrong.
No, it's definitely has like, if you recall back to like Black Ops 1 kind of vibe. That game in and of itself, it wasn't really like, it didn't have like a really war feel. A lot of it was like kind of undercover, behind the scenes. You had a target. You had to make sure that you weren't exposing yourself, otherwise you'd fail the mission. And that's kind of the route, especially with it directly being a sequel to Black Ops 1 with that time frame. And I guess some of the things that they've kind of, I don't know if it's people data mining or if it's actual Treyarch kind of releasing little tidbits about the game, but supposedly they're getting rid of like weapon mounting, which is something that they brought into Modern Warfare, which I really enjoyed. I think it was a cool concept.
I love weapon mounting.
Yeah, so there's been, and that's just a rumor. Obviously, the game's not out yet, so how can people be, or how can they be like, oh yeah, it's not going to be there? So,
well, I think there was a beta, wasn't there? I thought there was
alpha.
a beta. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I thought there was people who already got the test play it. Yeah.
Yeah,
so I think that's where they've been saying this stuff. But you can't go off the alpha. You cannot go off. They can add little things they just held back from the alpha in the final game.
They could completely scratch the alpha and be like, nope, that didn't work.
So, like, I'm not really about listening to tongue-in-cheek comments off the alpha, because I've seen an alpha release that was absolute garbage for other games, and then it just turns around and it's fantastic. And so, again, I apologize. You can continue. I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no, but yeah. The actually, I've heard a lot of, and the alpha is only on PS4, just because of Call of Duty's, I guess, contract with PlayStation. How PlayStation gets like certain packs sooner. They get early release stuff. They get exclusives. Just like for this Modern Warfare that came out last November, there's a Spec Ops that becomes available next month for Xbox and PC. Yeah, which kind of defeats the purpose of it, because we're all going to be moving on from Modern Warfare to Cold War. So, I mean, maybe it'll be something that I'm a collector of games. Obviously, as soon as the next Call of Duty comes out, I'm not going to immediately get rid of Modern Warfare. So maybe there'll be a mode to kind of jump back into and see how it is. But one of the other things too is, I guess one of the exciting factors with the new Cold War is going to be the zombies side of things, because Treyarch has basically, I wouldn't say exclusive rights, because Infinity War has tried with like Exo Zombies and stuff like that, and obviously you know how that went. That failed pretty bad, mostly because of the fact that they made you pay for it. It was an extra mode that you had to pay for to play. But I guess one of the things that recently got confirmed too is all the voices of old BO1, like Take Dempsey, Dr. Rick Toffin, those guys, they aren't going to be in this one. So it makes you wonder if they're going to completely have a new group of guys with a new story for the zombie side of things. So that'd be kind of interesting to see.
which wouldn't be a bad idea.
No,
I think you kind of go with a fresh kind of clean slate concept. I mean, zombies has always been very enjoyable. I'll probably get a lot of flack for this. I've never been the biggest fan of zombies. I think I've made that clear throughout our childhood because I'd always be like, yeah, zombies. But that's fine. That's neither here nor there. I still know it caters to a very broad audience base, and obviously who doesn't like, even as much as I don't like the gameplay of zombies, and I just say that because I just never got over the learning curve. I still love zombies in general. I love concept of zombies, so I'm always going to want to play the next zombies game. And so no, I think that's actually really going to be beneficial too with Halloween right around the corner. Like, I mean, because people are going to have that on their brains going into November. Like, they're going to be all thinking about that stuff still. It's not like that's going to disappear right away. So that's going to be always fun to think about because, like, I don't think there's really any good zombie games that have come out recently. I might be wrong about that. I need to get better about checking on those. But I don't think so. There's not been that's really stood out to me, which actually can kind of come back around to our whole psychological impact video games have. I love scary video games, and I will never hide that fact. I just remember one time I was watching Markiplier play Outlast, and I was like, is it really that scary? So then I went and got it. And I turned off all the lights in my room. I threw on sound canceling headphones. I was like, all right, let's go. And yeah, no, it was absolutely that terrifying. Because when you're running low on batteries and the last thing you see is one of those fucking things walking around, pardon the language, walking around, and the last thing you see is him and your battery cuts out, it's like, okay, where'd he go?
Yeah.
You just wait for your life, and you just feel your heart beating. And I love that reaction in video games. I love to be stimulated by a video game in any form of way. Like, I love an emotional response because that's what video games are supposed to do. They're supposed to get that adrenaline pump from, like, say, playing Call of Duty, and you just pull off a 6-shot, or like you just clutch the win in Warzone. Just something along those lines. That's what video games are there for. It's part of this whole collective of movies, books, anything like that, really, that's supposed to, like, that's what makes a good thing. It's like, what a base for a thing. This is what makes a good thing. But so when you look at these games that don't really give you that, like, that's one thing I was talking about, these regurgitations, like, and I know we were just hyping up Call of Duty. I do worry about, as it keeps progressing, those feelings start to get lower and lower and lower. It's just like, I don't even know, we're on iPhone 11 now. It's like things are just start slowly losing their authenticity, their value to them. And I would love to see some new original ideas that just challenge you psychologically. And I seem to turn, like, I see a lot of indie games are expanding into that realm. I love Subnautica. Subnautica is awesome. It's terrifyingly awesome because for anyone who's played that game and likes the ocean, hates the ocean, either way, you're going to have a great and horrible time. So, and, like, because it was cool. And, like, there's such eerie music when you're in the water and you're just, like, trying to figure out what to do with yourself, especially if you're playing it how it's supposed to be with the survival mode. And you see your first Leviathan, because I don't know how much of it you've played, but there's obviously, do you know the concept of the game, your ship?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I've never played it myself, but I've seen videos, and I know you've talked about it a few times.
Okay, yeah, so you're in this, like, little escape pod thing, and your main ship is behind you, like, probably like 1,000 meters, and it's crashed, and it goes nuclear, whatever. It's wild. It's not that big a spoiler. That happens within, like, the first 10 minutes of the game. So, and it doesn't do too much to affect the gameplay. You're still stuck in the endless expanse of ocean water around you with who knows God what around you. It's terrifying. But if you get, like, so it tells you the radiation is, like, too bad over there. So my first response was, I got to figure out how to get over by that ship. I want to know what's by that ship. I didn't find anything by that ship. You know what I found by that ship? Scary monsters. So, and for anyone who plays Subnautica or is thinking about getting into Subnautica, stay away from the ship. Don't go by the ship. because I nearly cried the first time I saw one. And I'll tell you, not many things scare me in video games anymore, but it was just the timing of it too. Because I was literally heading back to my pod. I was like, well, that was a waste of a trip. There's nothing over here. All of a sudden, like, I turn around and it grabs me and it's like, ah. And I was like, oh no. I'm dead. It was so graphic and awesome at the same time. But yeah, so I definitely love video games that psychologically mess with you and they give you that trigger. I actually just played a really interesting small indie game, and it's supposed to jump into behavioral health. It's I ran through it a couple times. Very short game. It's very interesting because it gives you insight into people who suffer depression and have anxiety, stuff like that. It's called Fractured. It's free with Game Pass on Xbox. Literally, you can beat this thing in like 15 minutes. It's more of a cautionary tale, or not even so much a cautionary tale, but just more informative video game, but with an interesting creative spin on it. And I actually found it very fascinating. I found it like they did a very good job of capturing the imagery, and like it really just gets into the understanding of people's psychological issues, and it's cool. It's like there's like one. I'll kind of spell one little thing about it. Like there's like one scene, like chapter labeled paranoia, and you're just walking on a busy street, like with just other pedestrians walking by you. They're just like black silhouette figures, and it's just so ominous feeling, and it definitely gives you that sensation of paranoia as you play through that level. It's a very cool game, and I was actually going to recommend it to you the other day. I totally forgot. It's just worth checking out. It's a very, for any gamer who's not afraid to venture into new territories or realms, like I definitely will recommend anything. I'm the guy who will literally play a game that like just a stick figure stare at you for 5 minutes. If it's just a 5-minute game and it just is the end at it, I'll play. I don't care. Because I'll be like, is that really what this is about? I have to see myself. And if it is that, oh well, I lost 5 minutes. I still gave it a shot. But yeah,
I'm going to stop you there for a second. You've been cutting out.
So also along with all these like horror games and all these different kind of indie games, I'm curious to see, and it's kind of like out of the ballpark, I want to see if they're going to be bringing zombies into Warzone. That was one thing there's been a lot of speculation about. There's been a lot of consideration. People talk about the moaning they hear at the gulag in the prison or even by the bunkers. And there's a lot of people who are like, oh, those are just prisoners in the gulag. And there's some people, they say they hear zombies. And it's like, all right. So that's one thing I would love, like, if they do get the opportunity to bring zombies into Warzone, I think that would change up the whole dynamic of that battle royale. And I think that would be for the better. I know there's a lot of people who discourage against that. But for me personally, I think that would definitely be a breath of fresh air because, let's face it, we've talked about it before, a train and an open stadium is cool, but is it really worth a million glitches?
Yeah. No, I agree. And I feel like it's kind of setting them up perfect for with Halloween and just kind of the season coming up with like just the fall vibes and really, it's just handed to them on a silver platter of giving them an opportunity to implement zombies into the game. However they do that, if it's maybe a certain part of the map it has a virus, and if you're within certain walls of it, and I guess that kind of makes me think of like Fortnite, how there's a certain island on the map where there was zombies and stuff. At one point, they had zombies around the entire map, which it kind of killed me for a while. I didn't play it for a couple weeks because I'm like, you're worrying about all these guys shooting at you and building and doing all these crazy edits, and then you got zombies chasing you at the same time. It's like that's too much. So and that's kind of the same thing with Warzone, especially when you have 150 people on a map. How do you implement zombies in a fun and slightly challenging way without pissing off a bunch of people because they're getting frustrated because they're getting hit by zombies, or they wipe a squad and they have a tick of health left and the zombie comes out of nowhere and just hits them once and kills them?
I've actually already thought about this a little bit. So for me, if I was going to handle this, say if I was part of the creative development team for Warzone, say I wanted to bring zombies into the game. One is I think they already have a cool point that they could run with it. So the bunkers could be the spawn points for when you get converted to a zombie, but the way you get converted into a zombie is you have to be outside the circle. So even if wherever you died, wherever your body was, once the circle closes in past that, you get the opportunity to come back as a zombie. Then what I think they should make zombies one shot. They're one shot, but you can keep coming back. That's a concept I thought about. Or you can't keep coming back, but it still takes a zombie. Like it takes you like 2-3 bullets to put a zombie down, and it takes a zombie like maybe they should increase the amount of hits it takes, obviously, because there's going to be a lot of zombies by that point. And I think it should be an extra, like an evacuation thing for the last team. You have to wait and get evacuated. You have to like get to a point. You got to fight to a point. You got to hold that point from all these zombies. But also make it so that like there's ammo resupplies that drop on you, and you just keep fighting off this wave of obviously whoever wants to stick into the game. I mean, the only problem with that is I don't think the only flaw with this concept, the community would leave. I know our toxic Call of Duty community, and like I already died. I don't get my chance to be defend. I don't want to be a zombie. So then the other alternative route is just make it scattered kind of AI added in, but don't add that many in. And well, there's two ideas with this. Add a lot in, but make them outside the circle. Don't take gas damage. You just have a wave of zombies. Like, so you have an opportunity to get back in the circle. It's just you're dealing with a wave of zombies, but they can't go past the circle. So imagine that. You know how hard that would limit? Say, for example, you know how many plays we've made where we have our gas mask, we run outside the circle, then we sneak back in. That would definitely be a game changer because now if you step outside the circle, it's not gas you're dealing with. It's a bunch of zombies that just want to tear your ass apart. So I think that'd be a really fun concept.
It sounds terrifying. Like you're running in on a moving circle, and you're like the storm is like behind you, and it's moving at the same speed. And you just like as you're running, you quick look behind you, and there's just hundreds of zombies just circling in on you.
See how fun is that concept though? Because it's like you can put them down, you can shoot them, and because imagine like those moments where you choose to land outside the circle, high risk, high reward, play around with, but they can't do what Fortnite did because the only thing I think Warzone has advantage over that, you don't have to build buildings. You don't have to worry about building crap around you. There's a lot of buildings on the map. Imagine a zombie invasion on downtown. Imagine being like just choosing to stay outside the circle. And just having because like if you wanted to play it and see how long you could last in the circle, you can. You could play it that way, and then there's people in the circle waiting for you to get to them. Imagine being on a tower and there's zombies climbing up. I mean, this is a lot of like this would probably be not within the realm of realism, but imagine being on one of the skyscrapers in downtown and there's just zombies climbing up the building. You're trying to figure out a way to get to circle, and it's just you and one other team left, and they're already in circle. I think that's a crazy cool concept. Or you have a helicopter too, and then you just have zombies hanging off. I don't know. I would love to see a properly executed zombie battle royale concept, and I think they have the money to do it. I just don't think they're gonna take the time to do it. So hopefully, whatever concept they do come up with isn't flawed. But you heard it here and now. I think this would be the coolest concept ever. If they ever want to do this, take this idea, run with it. I think a zombie battle royale is super dope. I think there are some that exist, but they're only in PC games. And I don't think they're as easy as what I'm explaining. But I still think it'd be a really cool concept. And getting into the theme of horror and psychological impact, Dead by Daylight.
Oh, boy.
That is such a fun game with the right group of friends. And playing online can be a pain in the ass. Because there are people who have been playing for a while, especially if you're just jumping in new. It almost feels skewed at first because the monsters are just so overpowered depending on what monster you're versing. But it's still a fun concept idea, and I think there should be more games like that. I think they should revise that. For one, game chat needs to be fixed. There needs to be in-game chat. I don't think there is because, like, what was it? I think it was Jake brought up the idea. It was either Jake or you. I can't remember who said it, but have it so where it's like proximity sound. So like, say the monster's close to you, he can hear you talking. But if he's not close to you, he can't. And you've got to whisper if you don't want to be heard too loud. And that means it puts that extra sense of like fear in, because if you speak too loud, that monster can hear you. So if you're quiet though, and you're far enough away, and you're communicating, it gives you that better chance to communicate versus just relying on being in a party chat essentially. And it creates a fresh idea for uh, random players to play together.
Oh
Imagine,
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
also imagine like you're running and all of a sudden like you see the monster go after someone, all of a sudden you just hear that dude yell, "Hey, he's over there, go get him!" Like the amount of turmoil that would cause in a group of randoms playing together. Like, or like you run up on someone's location where they're hiding, he's like, "Yeah, he's in the red box over here, come get him!" And just take off running. The amount of chaos and in the perfect gaming community, something like that could work. I've been seeing a lot of memes for some game online lately. I don't know what that game is. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like there's an imposter in it. I think it's a PC game actually.
Oh, Among Us.
Among Us, yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it is PC only. It might be PlayStation as well. I could be wrong. But also that Fall Guys, I know that's PlayStation and PC, so I might be getting that mixed up. But yeah, I've seen big name streamers play it. I see meme pictures, videos, and just it looks like a fun game. It's more of that arcade style kind of group entertainment game that um, I wouldn't compare it to like playing Uno with friends or like those game those like party games, but at the same time it kind of has that vibe where it there's that little bit of fear of like, oh, who's the imposter, and like trying to figure that stuff out and trying to make sure you don't get killed, and if you are the imposter, make sure you don't get caught. Um, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully Microsoft gets their foot in the door on that game because I definitely enjoy trying that out.
We'll see, and that'd be a fun concept in itself if it was redone in a form of like Dead by Daylight. Say you're working on that ship or whatever, and there's an imposter among you guys, and that would be cool. It'd create that even bigger sense of fear. I think it works just fine as it is. Clearly, it's super popular. It's blowing up, and it's proving that what I just explained works. Fear can work. That little concept of playing with your friends. It is a great formula that has been used many times before, but it just hasn't struck a chord until this game now has. This game is apparently just blowing up. I feel like memes sell games. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of people get into games just because of the memes they see. They're like, "Oh, this sounds fun."
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see what this next generation of games is going to be like with the Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5. Seeing some of the releases they're coming out with, nothing seemed too drastic or controversial yet. See some remasters, I see some continuations, I see some new concepts. I just haven't seen anything that's like that really makes me think we're into the next generation of gaming, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like until I'm sitting behind one of these new systems, playing one of these new games, I'm probably going to have to be a new TV just to really appreciate it. But until I'm doing that, I don't think I can really feel that excitement. Like, it's cool. There's a new generation of systems coming out. This is exciting. I remember when the Xbox One came out. Super exciting. And because you got to think what we came from. It was such a technological jump. So I'm only curious to see, is it going to be that big a leap like it was, or is it going to be – I feel like the bridge that we're like crossing is getting smaller and smaller with technology, but maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. That's why I say I'm excited for the future of gaming because I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The future is uncertain. Who knows where it goes?
You think about it too, though. Like, look at like when we were playing on 360, and then we made that jump to Xbox One. We didn't know a lot about it. There wasn't talks about it. There wasn't videos. There wasn't a lot of teasers. There's like, oh, this is coming out soon, and I'm pretty sure. I can't remember. Oh, there's like rumors of it being the Xbox 720 because it was going from 360. It was going to go to 720,
Yeah.
and there's like all these different concepts and stuff, and it left us as gamers in a gray area of not knowing what to believe. And I feel like because we're now in that age where, I mean, a lot of people have smartphones or access to a computer to really see any kind of information they want. Almost wonder if, like you said, you don't have that excitement yet to take that jump, maybe because you're too informed. You know what I mean? You've seen too much stuff. You've seen all the specs. You've seen these are the exclusives that are going to come out. These are the things that are going to be reverse compatible. It basically lays out everything to a T of what to expect. Well, it takes all the excitement out of it. Just like you're watching a sporting event. What if it laid out to a T when each team was going to score, how they were going to score, who got hurt, who scored the winning touchdown or home run or whatever sport you're watching? It's not going to be very exciting to watch because you know the outcome. Well, of course we don't know the outcome because we haven't played it yet, but like I can kind of see where you're coming from because there isn't that excitement factor because I feel like we're almost too informed of what's next.
Exactly, and that's always been one of my biggest hypes right now with the future of not just gaming but technology. I'm not against information, and this is one thing I've talked about prior. Is being too informed a bad thing? And this is where I will make that argument. I feel like in some ways it is. I feel like anyone who wants to get out there and educate themselves, that's not a problem. But sometimes it's just nice. Like when PlayStation 2 came out, their selling point was not what the capabilities so much of their system was. It was their titles. It was this big representative, this Crash Bandicoot icon. And like even with Halo, Master Chief used to be like the face of Xbox. Now it's like, yes, he's still major representative of Xbox, but it's kind of like he's part of a council now. He's part of like a team that he just sits there and he's like, yeah, this guy over here, he's the specs guy. This guy over here, yeah, he's the marketing dude. He's the one who makes you think it looks cool and shiny. Like, it's like there's so things they're trying to target you on. It almost like it overstimulates. It feels overstimulated to receive this much information about something that I'm gonna build too much excitement about. I'd rather have restrained information, just be told, yes, this is the next step in gaming, and then get it for myself, have limited expectations, because yes, a lot of people can learn what these graphic cards do. They can learn, but it takes away from that childhood excitement. It takes away from that nostalgic feeling. And it's like nostalgia, enjoyment versus knowledge. It's like, which one do you want more moving forward with your systems? Do you really care about what graphics card is in your Xbox? Because now you're starting to really sound like a PC gamer. And it's like, that was never what systems were supposed to be about. Systems were supposed to be systems for a reason. There's a reason there's PC gaming and then there's systems. And that's fine. PC gaming is cool. If you want to know exactly what you're building, awesome. More power to you. I plan to build a PC for myself. Will I stop buying systems? No. You know why? Because systems were supposed to be specifically that, a system created for gaming. And yes, computers have better processing power. Why do you think pros play on PCs? Because it gives them that competitive edge. But I have no intention of ever being a competitive gamer. I feel like I've crossed that bubble. My parents didn't see me playing video games when I was 15, and they're like, yeah, you're going to be the chosen one. And like, hand me a golden video game controller. And
Mike, the chosen one, Lance.
Yeah, right? Yeah, they picked the guy next door over in Ninja or something. I don't know. No, but that's the thing is, I have made my peace with not ever being a professional gamer. I don't care about the specs of my system. I just want to make sure there's good quality title releases. I've never even, controversial statement, I don't even care about the quality of games now to a degree. Like, it's cool. It's like, wow, I can see the dude's pores. I can see that in real life too. I can see my own pores in the mirror. Does that impress me every day? No. Do I care about a great story that takes me out of seeing my own pores in the mirror all the time? Yes. So it's like, I would rather see more emphasis focused on creating good quality content and based around stories, lores. But I told you, those are my things. And new unique mechanics, new interesting mechanics introduced into these games. Because I ultimately come back to those moments like I was telling you about last podcast, Shadow of the Colosseum. You can rip a dude's off arm and that came out wrong. You can rip a dude's arm off. You can rip a dude's off arm. That totally is not a sentence. That was off. But you can rip a guy's arm off and beat him to death with it. And that was such a cool mechanic for me. I don't know why that got me all excited. I was like, yeah. And then I could grab his leg too, and I was like, double yeah. But But now it's like I see this really good quality game, and I talked about that too. When I first saw the quality of Gears of War on the 360, yeah, I was like, wow, that's cool. But is that what like kept me locked in? No, that wasn't what kept me locked in. It was the cool mechanics. It was like, dude, I can chainsaw a guy in half. I can flip around even though I look like I'm 800 pounds and made like a brick wall. I don't know how I flip this much, but I can. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. A big thing for me for that game too was, and which is unpopular for a lot of people, whether it's Gears or any game, is the third person view. That's a whole mechanic in the game that they have to focus on. You have a like every Call of Duty's always been first person. You have that first person view. All they have to focus on is what's from here to there. And when you add in that third person view, you have to focus on what does the characters look like? How do they move? How do they interact with their environment? That's a whole new realm that those developers have to dive into. And I mean, for me growing up, yeah, I like things in first person, and if I had a choice between first and third person, I usually chose first person. But being able to do third person really gave me an appreciation and understanding for those games like Gears of War or even Fallout, how you could switch between first and third person. A lot of times I switch back and forth between the two, but often I find myself more in third person just for those reasons of being able to see what's around me, how am I interacting with my environment. And I think that's an important aspect that really every game should have. If they have the ability to make it first or third person, I think they should have both and let that person playing it decide which they prefer.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like these companies make so much money. If they wanted to, they could craft such a beautiful game. And it's like it's funny. I was talking with my uncle actually the other day about this because we got on the topic of games like God of War. He's a PlayStation fan. He's all PlayStation exclusives, and I totally get it. They have some amazing exclusives. I lean more towards Xbox, and not even for the exclusives. It's just more the familiarity and where most of my friends tend to land is on Xbox. But it's not gonna stop me from getting a PlayStation eventually. But yeah, he was talking to me about that because he was like, yeah, like I don't support companies like EA. I won't badmouth EA because I don't know if that could eventually get us taken off YouTube if we ever get enough followers. But so I'll just say this about that corporation. I share his views about some of the things he said. I feel like story-driven games are better than some of the things they're churning out these days. They're still a great company. They still do their own part. I'm just kidding. I hate EA. So they stopped listening by now. No, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of EA. I'm not a fan of them as a company. I like some of the games they create. I'm just not a fan of them as a company. I didn't even like what Bethesda was becoming for a bit there, but like it seems like they're getting back on track. I'm a story-driven person. I look at a game like it's a book I'm playing or a movie I'm part of. That's what I look at, and I want a good story. It could even be a dumb story as long as it's a good story. Or it can be like, I don't know, like you could create a game. Like for example, they created a Deadpool video game. How could that fail? But it wasn't that great. It wasn't that great. The source material is awesome. Everything's awesome there. They have all these games like comic book games, like stuff like that. They have great source material, but why is it so hard sometimes for it to transition over? And why do other ones succeed? And it's like because you create a good story with good mechanics, chances are you're going to have a good game. And if you sacrifice a little bit of the quality, which they don't have to now, they don't. But if you sacrifice a little bit, I don't think anyone's going to hate you for it. If you create something that everyone's going to – I mean, why do you think this Among Us game is so popular? It's not cutting-edge graphics. It's entertainment. It's fun.
It's 2D. It looks like Pokemon that you played on your Game Boy 15 years ago.
Exactly. It's like it's almost like the industry forgot they're not in the business of making money. They're in the business of entertainment. Does the money come later on? Yeah. And do they have that money now? Yeah. But you, first and foremost, are an entertainment business. So entertain. And that is my last sentiment about that. I am just admiring your beautiful face. What
Um,
is that behind you right there, anyway? Oshkosh?
this
Is that
oh,
Oswald or?
that's one of my when I did track in
Oh,
college. That's one of my jerseys. I have another one over here as well. It looks kind of sad though. It's fallen down a
it's fun.
little bit,
Oh
but
no.
and I'm kind of scared to take it out because I know it took me a while to put it in, so I'm just gonna leave it, or maybe I won't. But now that you said something, now I probably will fix it. But I guess kind of going back to where we kind of started our conversation, and we talked about that psychological impact on ourselves, and both of us recollected about positive feelings, positive vibes, those memories we tap back into that um, have give us an appreciation for video games. Now, in kind of a more, I guess, flipping the script to the other side is kind of how psychologically games have had a negative impact on us, or even people in general. Um, one thing you had, or kind of one thing, I guess, going back into again a topic we talked about earlier in the episode was um, playing against a kid, and they're like, "Oh, I fucked your mom last night," and you know what? We laugh at that, but it makes
Yeah,
you think. It's how and why and like what developed within our heads that we look at that and we laugh at that, and we don't take offense to it. We don't say, "Oh, that's wrong. Why is that kid talking like that?" Of course, we're like, "Whoa," it's like kind of off-putting, but at the same time, it's like we're so conditioned because of what we grew up with in that earlier Call of Duty, that Modern Warfare 1, Modern Warfare 2, Halo 3, multiplayer lobbies, of that toxicity that maybe back then it, it hurt our ego a little bit, but now I wouldn't say either of us are toxic players and we do that now, but we are so like I said, we're so adapted to it that when we do hear it now, it's we just shrug our shoulders and laugh at it. So I guess I kind of a question for you is where do you think like it kind of fell off in the sense of um, the gaming communities have become toxic, and it's like, oh, that's just Rocket League or that's just Call of Duty, and why do you think it's
I'm
that
glad
way
you brought this up.
nowadays?
First and foremost, I actually want to challenge your question with an idea. So you bring up the idea of they just say, "Oh, I fucked your mom last night." Say game chat, right? Doesn't bother you. Shrug your shoulders. Now imagine same age kid walks up to you in the street. You're walking with your mom. This kid walks up to you, looks at your mom, looks at you, says, "I fucked her last night." Whole different feeling, right? Does that not create some like, I'm gonna slap this kid? Where's this kid's parents? Why is this? I think the reason we've all become so desensitized is because, again, I'm so, for someone who's so for technology, I almost sound super anti-technology and anti-progression when I'm not. I'm super progressive moving forward and expanding towards growing technology. It's just it has to be done in the right way. The reason we're so desensitized is because during the growth of technology, there's a lot of people who got involved in social media where they feel like they can just communicate and say the things they want to. I mean, we have the ability to say what we want to. We could badmouth whoever we wanted right now. I just discredited EA in some ways, even though they're a multi-billion-dollar company. Do I have a right to discredit them? Yes, I do. I have a freedom of speech. If I disagree with some things, I will make sure I'm a lot more educated when I get into the details of talking about what I don't like about them. But I will just let my point be known that I don't like them. Do I still play their titles? Yes. So I feed into their machine. So it doesn't even matter. They don't care. But the thing is, social media, the way we have learned to convey things to each other, and honestly, the way we grew up talking to each other behind adults' backs. Let's be honest there. Like let's think about how we talk to each other. I can only imagine how the younger generation acts because I feel like there's a lot even bigger blind eye to it because I see it. This is not parenting tips with Michael and Collin, mind you. Anyone listening, I'm not a dad. He'll be a dad one day. I will never be a dad, but I'll be the fun uncle. I just want people to know and understand that this starts young. The desensitization started young for us. We got used to that in the video game sector because, like you explained, with Call of Duty and stuff like that. But it all did start with social media too. We see people harass each other online. We see people attack each other, and it becomes almost like you have to be numb to these things you hear. Otherwise, it's like, what is happening? I can almost I feel like almost every other night we were playing Rocket League and we get a message, win or lose, from somebody. who's upset. It's like, I don't know why someone has to go out of their time to message. If like, and there's this whole concept of trolling. Like, oh, I'm trolling that person. It's like, no, you just wasted your time and effort to try to upset somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like we've turned a blind eye to communication when it comes to interaction through entertainment. Friendly competitiveness is fine. We've done it on the field, like playing football, or I played rugby. There's moments of frustration, but even then, why can I play a contact sport and walk away from it having less things said to me, less confrontation, than playing a game about hitting a soccer ball with a car? That's the thing. It stems from the fact people feel more confident. They feel more confident, and they use that confidence instead of building each other up. They use that confidence to discredit each other because they're upset because someone else was better than them, or maybe something went wrong with the game, or maybe their partner is just not pulling their weight. They use that moment to, instead of try to build that person up, they try to discredit that person. And there will be a lot of people who will be like, oh, well, that's just the way it goes. There's no changing that. Like, oh, that's just how it is. And I'll be like, and that's fine. I'm not going to try to change. I'm not like the social media Jesus over here. I'm not trying to create this whole new peace and love and ooh la la world. Like, if you want to go tell me to go fuck my mom, that's fine. Or well, you'll fuck my mom. I don't even care what they say. They can say whatever they want to say, but I'm still going to have fun. But the idea is this. When will that hit a breaking point? When will there be – because I see an increase in mental health issues becoming known and stuff like that too. When's there going to be that dude who's playing video games? I remember one time we were playing Rocket League. That person was sitting there saying, I think it was with you, or it might have been someone else. I can't remember. This person was literally typing in chat saying they're going to kill themselves. That is a serious subject to bring up. And they're just like, oh, do you want to live chat? Do you want to watch this? And sure, it could be a coded bot account, which I doubt. It's definitely just some person who's deeply in need of help. Not even if they're suicidal, but just they need help. If they're willing to say this kind of stuff, if they're trying to warrant some response, they need attention, they need something. But if you're willing to say that kind of stuff on the internet, you need to reevaluate yourself. I try to now say things on social media and in video games that I would only ever say to your face. And I think everyone should take that stance. And I think we'd start seeing a revised thing. Or we just need to start telling people that, like, hey, this comes around. There's a karma to it. And who knows, maybe one day you're going to build up such a cockiness because you act like this in video games, you're accidentally going to let something slip and you're going to say something to the wrong person. It's like, either have the confidence to say these things or just don't say them. Refrain from them, because you don't know. You don't know who you're talking to, or like in what situation you might find yourself to where you think you have this entitled right to communicate like that with people. Mm-hmm. It's like, no. First off, you sound unintelligent. It's like, you want to be respected as a gamer in the community. If you want to be respected and your opinion to mean something, don't start off by discrediting the person you're trying to communicate with. I will tell you this. I've had good conversations too. I've had people message and be like, hey, man, like, it was a good game, but you could have done this better. Because I flopped that game, and I'll be like, you're right. I could have did that better. Thank you for pointing that out. And that was that. I've seen those kind of people, and I've tried to communicate like that with people too. And then I'll get those people like, oh, fuck you. You're the one who sucked. And it's like, I literally had one situation in Rocket League where the other team literally even took my side. They're like, dude, because it was doubles. The other team was like, dude. Like, to me, they're like saying dude to the other guy. They're like, this guy, me, is better than you, because this dude just kept going off about me instead of trying to play. It's like, dude. And they're like, he's literally better than you. The way he's playing is better than you. Stop. And he just leaves. It's like, did you get a video game to just talk like that to people? Mm-hmm. Like, and it takes away from the entertainment. Yeah, it was fun when we were younger. It was a startup. It was cool because it just got popular. And of course, it was fun to talk crap because it was so funny, some of the things that got said. Yes, I'll not deny. Some of those things that got said were hilarious. Some things that get said are hilarious, but if I have to sacrifice those things that I think are funny to see a better generation come up on gaming, see people who build each other up to be better gamers, I will. And, like, will I get frustrated? Will I curse under my breath? Yeah. But will I direct message someone just because I'm upset? No. So I think that's where we need to start working on ourselves. I don't think it's good for people. And getting back to the psychological point, I don't think it's good for people to sit there and do that to each other. I don't think it's good. It takes away from your entertainment. It's supposed to be entertainment, not stress. You play video games to de-stress. You don't play video games to stress yourself out more. If you're playing video games to stress yourself out more, you shouldn't be playing video games. You're insane.
Yeah.
You're just a psychopath. I don't even want to play video games with you.
No, I definitely agree, and I guess something that just came into my mind now, and this could be completely unrelated, and maybe down the road it'll be something that gets confirmed. But I think that a lot of the toxicity and really the younger audience, kids who are younger that maybe have a gaming console and they've played in these first-person shooter, super competitive games, and maybe they shouldn't be. Maybe they should be sticking to their Crash Bandicoot and Mario to start out and work up to it. Or even the older community who are high school age, middle school age, is they, with how much competitive gaming and streaming has become a part of our the gaming community, is I almost wonder if like they watch your Ninja, Tim the Tatman, Nick Merckx, all these guys, and then they see someone like us closer to age than to that said streamer than them, and they look at us as, oh, Nick Merckx said this, or they do this. This guy's a nobody. I still have potential because I'm young, so I'm going to discredit this person because they're old, they're washed up, they had their chance at competitive gaming. So these younger kids who I guess do have that potential because they're years behind us, and a lot of them are or those who are in high school have that opportunity to start streaming, so that once they are to our age bracket of their mid-20s, they could have built a lot of success. So I guess kind of got a little sidetracked there, but I guess my main point was, yeah, I guess my main point was just how that toxicity towards, I guess, our crowd being because of the presence of those big name people and how they look at them as idols. So then they look at us as lesser individuals, which can in turn bring out that toxicity and that vulgar language.
Well, and that makes me want to bring up this too. Us growing up playing games, streamers, I don't know if they were prominent or if they were ever out there. I never even bothered to look up stream. I never watched people stream video games. I'm sure like some of the founding figures in that were probably like PewDiePie. I'm sure he's probably one of the older ones who started up in that industry. I never cared to watch other people play video games. I was one of those people, I'd rather do it myself. So I don't know what age group I was at where that started to become a thing. And then professional gaming started to spike too. I think one thing the younger generation needs to be reminded of, being a professional gamer is just about as likely, maybe even less likely, than becoming a rock star or something like that. It takes a lot of hard work. And I think that's the thing a lot of these younger kids need to be taught. If you're going to build towards this, you've got to treat it like it's a career option, not like it's an entertainment thing. These people worked hard. They were naturals, or they had a personality that just shined through among millions, because there are millions of gamers out there, millions. And that's the thing. You got to compete with all these different gamers just to be heard, just for your voice to be heard. And beyond that, they're going to want to see you be good, because that gets to a point too, because there's going to be a crowd that wants to see you be good. There's going to be a crowd that wants to see you be entertaining. And there's going to be a crowd that just kind of wants a mashup of both. And it all just kind of becomes chaotic as you're starting to increase. And I'm sure you stream and you collected a decent following. And with that, it's like you see that you get these remarks, you get these responses from the crowd that watches you, communicates with you. And it's this younger generation needs to realize it's not an easy climb up. It's not. It's a very steep slope. It's just as much as becoming a famous singer or anything along those lines. There's a lot of hard work and effort that gets put into these things. There's going to be nights where you're tired, but you have to do it. And that's one of the points that get started. And you got to focus on their schooling too, though. And I think that's the part. Like, they got to realize they're not going to be a professional gamer overnight. Even if they're years behind us, they're not going to be a professional gamer overnight. They may not even want to be. They may be very good, but their brains are still developing. And that's another thing. The psychological impact some of the games these younger kids are playing, the impact it's having on their minds and the things they're saying, the way they're communicating, it's worrisome. But also at the same time, when does it come out of everyone else's hands? Because it's not in our hands. It's not our job to monitor. We're not parents. It's not our job, but we can at least be informative as we are trying to be, what we've seen. I've experienced it. Like I've told you before, last podcast, I see these kids walk around with Switches, which is fine. It's like me walking around with a Game Boy when I was a kid. I'm not going to argue the Switch. Switch is pretty tame if you get the right games. It's cool. Gaming should be part of a kid's mind. It helps them like there are a lot of informational and educational video games out there that help build a young child's brain and help them develop and grow. And it's entertaining at the same time, because if you can combine entertainment and expanding someone's knowledge, you get the perfect formula. But the thing is, when you get the same, like these other kids in that same age group sitting there and playing Call of Duty or something more graphic, because I don't even think Call of Duty's in the top. I don't even think it's that graphic personally, because I've seen, if you, like once you have a psychological understanding as you get older and you understand and you reflect on some of these things, like you even look at, there's some very graphic things in Fallout. There's some graphic things in Skyrim. Concepts are a lot more morally graphic than just shooting somebody. There are literally decisions you make that you know are morally evil. The only one in Call of Duty, and that I've seen, well, the new Call of Duty, there's some questionable things in the campaign for sure. And there's if you look at the old classic no Russian scene, that is, I guess you could say that's a staple of our childhood. That's a very, very strong graphic point, because and I reflect back on it, and I didn't realize 100% what I was doing.
Oh, I agree.
Now, if I think about it, and as messed up as it sounds, I'd skip that scene. I'm not playing that again. I'm not going to murder a bunch of random citizens, even if it's just a video game, because that's another thing. They'll say it's just a video game. You say it's just a video game, you take away from the psychological impact it has. You act like it doesn't impact people, like a book doesn't impact people, like watching the news doesn't impact people. This is something you are visually perceiving, you're hearing, you are sensing this, and obviously it's impacting you. So if you get to the point where you are intellectual enough to understand that concept and you just want to mow down citizens, why is that not concerning? At least to me, that is. Like I still love playing shooters, because I'm former military. I like the idea. Obviously, I'm not against the concept of war, but it's a necessary evil. No one should want to go to war. No one should want to kill people for the sake of killing. Like, video games are just that fun release entertainment to take that tension off of you if you're a stressed out person. But you shouldn't think senseless violence is okay. Like, I don't play video games because I think senseless violence is okay. That's why I like games like Fallout and Skyrim that give me the option to think outside the box. It gives me more of a moral gray area where there's actually different alternative routes to walk, or games like Mass Effect. And I guess that's like, at the end of the day, when we look back on it, we look at how they've psychologically impacted us, and we see how this next generation is moving forward. We can only just hope that maybe, just maybe, they'll come out of it just fine. I feel like a lot of our generation just came out just fine because there wasn't too much that was too bad. I see a lot of shitheads. I see a lot of shitheads out there that definitely played too much video games instead of focusing on themselves. And this comes back to one idea I have about almost everything: moderation. One of my key words in life is moderation. Because you can enjoy stuff, but there's a level of enjoying it too much.
Yeah, we talked a lot about a lot of good stuff as far as psychological. It was kind of, I guess, more of a serious episode as far as the psychological impact of video games. Some of it good, obviously some of it bad, and just kind of diving into that. So next episode, maybe have more of an upscale talk, just to maybe focusing on like a franchise or something, or.
I already got a fun idea. I already have a good upbeat concept. So we're not going to sit there and depress the audience, I promise.
All right. Yeah, I look forward to it. Yeah. So you have a great rest of your night, man, and I look forward to talking to you soon.